does the scouting only happen on the 12th of April?
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of it. That's why I'm saying it was triggered by the investigating officer requesting these papers. Now it seemed to be urgent. Something needed to be done urgently. Otherwise, there was going to be problems. Because from the 12th, there was a scouting. The 13th, there was a scouting. The 14th, there was a scouting. The 15th, there was a scouting. The 16th, there was a scouting. Subsequently, Armand was killed on the 17th. But there's things that happened in between. We see Katiso sending a name and a number of the intended, supposedly they thought it was a whistleblower, but let me just say of the employee from the QTech, he sent it to Dow. Dow started sharing this with her girlfriend named Lerato, asking her to search and find who is that person, of which Lerato indeed she searched until she find the intended target with his balls, and she sent it back to them, to Dow. Let me not say it to them. Send it back to Dow. Dow send it back to Katiso, and they agreed that this should be him. And then the scouting continued, and then we could see there was a testing of vehicles and so forth. And in one of the days, we could see Dawes Viano there up until the knock-off time where everybody will leave QTechs. I think they were trying to identify the target. And what is notable, after the 16th from scouting, they go back to Molefe again.
Thank you, Witness B. Commissioners, this is described in detail at para 26.8 and the sub-paragraphs thereafter.
Maybe just before you leave 26.8, Witness B, you say at one point Katiso Molefe sent details of employees of QTech to Mr. Dow.
That's correct, Commissioner. Yeah. That's when now he sent the cell phone number of the person that was intended to be shot, that was believed to be a whistleblower, and the name. I don't know if it's safe to call out the name of the victim.
No, Witness B, that's not necessary.
But it was not Mr. Swart, is that correct?
No, it was not Mr. Swart. It may be worth me mentioning that in all of this, unfortunately and sadly, Mr. Swart was never the intended target. It was a mistaken of identity.
I don't think we should get to who the actual whistleblower is. Let's leave it there for their own safety.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioners, just to cross-reference, this would be the annexures that Witness A went through yesterday with all of the stills. So that information is contained there.
Can we? Yes, it's what I was going to raise. Witness A gives dates of scouting, and I think she starts at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it will be helpful that you cross-reference from yesterday's files, that you tell us the 12th is this exhibit that we looked at yesterday, the 13th is this, because to read this without reference to annexures will be very difficult when the witness is not here.
Commissioner Bailoy, we will do so. I'll just ask that once I get my file with Witness A's annexures, I'll do that exercise and give you the references.
I'm happy that you can even start with that tomorrow morning, if you need the rest of today and the evening to do that cross-referencing.
Thank you. Witness B, at paragraph
Can
20.
sorry, before you
my
move
apology.
off this, at paragraph 26.8.4, and perhaps Ms. Bowe, it still falls in the category of what I'm asking, that what I've asked that you do for us. There, the witness says, on 12 April 1st, Mr. Dawi is seen driving to Mr. Molefe's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. I don't recall, and the witness, you can remind us, I don't recall that we saw evidence that they were both in the vehicle. I do recall the evidence about the vehicles. The vehicle going to Mr. Molefe and then it leaving. Is there evidence that they were both in the vehicle? And perhaps when you do the exercise that I've asked for, you can try and locate that.
Commissioner Baloy, I think witness B will be of assistance. She referred to cell towers being used to show that they were both at that location.
Maybe let me direct the question to her. Let me do that.
Certainly.
Yes. Witness B, at 26.8.4, you say on the 12th, first Mr. Dawi is seen driving to Mr. Molefe's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. How do you know that they were in that vehicle together to the location for scouting?
Commissioner, we know that through the call data. It's the call data that informs us that you can see from the Dow's call data and tracking reports driving to Molefe, and then from Molefe's house, according to call data, they both driving, picking in same towers up until at Vernach and Q-Tech, where they were scouting. Why I would refer to say they were driving together, I'm very much aware of the explanation that he gave during the bail, that he forgot the cell phone inside Dow's car. But I'm not convinced, commissioners, because in between he was making calls, let alone receiving calls. Receiving call, I will maybe give him a benefit of the doubt, because even Dow can answer. But making calls from your phone, that's extreme. And I know he was using iPhone, and I'm definitely sure that Dow wouldn't be able to access iPhone without him, because I know the security is in the iPhone. I'm using an iPhone.
Thank you, Witness B.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. Witness B, you wrap this section up at paragraph 26.9, where you talk to the motive. Can you explain this to the commissioners with reference to paragraph 26.9? Thank you.
Yes, the motive, yeah. Hence, I reference to the 12 to say we see something common about the dates, the 12, because the 12 is when now, like, he was pressured to give the documents, and knowing that there was manipulation in this, and that would have costed him his job and everything that he worked for. And then instead he reached out to the uncle, and the uncle called out to the friend, and they both start scouting as immediately as the 12, because the 12 is the genesis of why we are here now. And then
Oh, sorry, Witness B. What's your belief that Mr. KT Molefe ordered the hit based on?
It's based on this SK tender and the whistleblower, because, Commissioner, the actual person that was intended to be killed here is the whistleblower that was blowing the information in this SK tender thing. So unfortunately, we find Mr. Swart being killed, but not the person that was intended to be killed, because now it was creating problems for Lucky at work now that the investigator is now needing to have these documents. And the same documents was going to reveal that these two companies that he said they were in competition with SK, they actually non-existent. And the SK itself, it has its own problems, because the investigation has revealed that even that it was a pawn in Lucky Molefe and Thapelo Molefe, who's the son to Katiso Molefe's pawn, because when the money was paid now, maybe I don't know if I'm going too forward, but when the money was paid now to this SK, what happens? It gets paid to SK account, but the whole amount is transferred to Thapelo Molefe's account, and Thapelo Molefe is the one paying people, including the so-called director of SK. He's getting as little as 30,000 out of 1.2. So now it tells you who are the mastermind of this SK group and this tender. And it gives you a clear picture why Mr. Molefe was interested and had to do something. Because he was protecting the interest of his own son and the nephew.
I understand about calls or other contact between some of the people alleged to be involved in the murder, that is before the murder, and even the report to Mr. Katiso Molefe after the murder, that I think it said, Abuti, we are fine, something like that. So I would understand the basis for inferring or concluding that Mr. Katiso Molefe could have ordered the hit. I'm not so sure that I get how you get to the conclusion or inference that Mr. Lucky Molefe could have ordered the hit. But I will leave it there. You have made your point.
Commissioner, can I add a little something on Molefe?
Yes.
Molefe, meaning Lucky. Lucky is the person who awarded this tender to SK Group. And Molefe is referred to as the buyer at Transnet. Definitely Molefe, Lucky is not the first time he buys this certain springs from for Transnet. And Molefe is at the liberty to look at the history in the system for the people who have been supplying them with the springs, of which, at the most, the people that maybe were expensive, they were not above 6 rand mostly. I'm not talking about where he facilitated, where other employees facilitated the process. The least is 6 rand. But in every tender where he was involved, it's 100 plus. So, what I'm trying to put out there is to say, Molefe, it's not only this tender that he awarded in this fashion. So opening an investigation for him, it was crucial because it was gonna expose not only this and others as well. That's why this whistleblower had to be taken care as quickly as possible before everything comes to light.
And perhaps Witness B, just to clarify with reference to the infographic, There's a dotted line next to Molefe on the right where you mentioned that further investigations have found other schemes. Can you explain that briefly?
That's correct. Unfortunately, that's it's still under investigation, but it's safe to say it's more than one. It could be 10, 15 or 3, but it's more than one.
Thank you, Witness B.
And sorry, Commissioner, one last information that I forgot to include where QTech is concerned. That's why it was so important to eliminate QTech, is that on the system, they've been having this relationship with Transnet for over 40 years. But when at the first value investigations were done, it was so strange that they were not appearing in the system. Somebody had deleted them so that it can never be seen.